Good morning, stars friends. Miss Rachael here, and today we are reading a very, very beautiful book. The title of today's story is Islandborn. Now, what do you think this book is going to be about? Remember, the title of the story is Islandborn. What do you think it means to be islandborn? Take a look at the front cover. What do you notice in the background? I see some trees. They look like palm trees. I see some buildings. A water tower. These look like things that maybe we see in New York City, near our school and our homes. And then in the front of the picture of the illustration, I see this beautiful little girl. Remember, the title of this book is Islandborn. So, I want you to think a little bit about what you think this story might be about. Now, before we hop in, I want to say that this is a pretty long book. So, if you get tired or antsy at any point, you can press pause on the video and come back later to finish with me. We have lots of exciting questions that I want to ask about this book and even some projects that I want you to do after our reading. So, let's jump right in, and I'm super excited to read Islandborn with you. This is the inside cover. I noticed the illustrator used green, lots and lots of green, to draw this picture. Islandborn. It's the same little girl we saw on the front cover. I wonder if we're going to find out more about this little girl. Every kid in Lola's school was from somewhere else. Hers was the school of faraway places. My was from a city so big that it was like its own country. India and Camilla were from a stony village at the tippy top of the world. Mateo had lived in a desert so hot even the cactus fainted. New was born in a jungle famous for its tigers and its poets. And Lola was from the island. So when her teacher, Miss Obi, told the class, "Please draw a picture of the country you are originally from, your first country, and bring it in tomorrow," everyone got super excited. "I'm going to put in pyramids," said Dahlia. Pyramids. Pyramids. Where are the pyramids? Where do you think Dahlia is from? She said that in her picture, she's going to draw in pyramids. Do you know where the pyramids are? Right. The pyramids are in Egypt, which is a country that's very far away from the United States, where we live. Maybe we'll learn a little bit more about the pyramids later. I'll show you some pictures of the pyramids. So Dahlia said she's going to draw some pyramids in her picture. "And I'll draw a canal this long," Franklin said. "There's going to be a mongoose in mine," Nelson yelled. Nelson always yelled. Everyone was talking about their drawings. Everyone but Lola. Lola, you see, loved to draw. But she had left the island where she was born when she was just a baby, so she didn't remember it at all. So there's Dahlia. How does she look? Do you see her? She can't remember her island. Everybody else is talking about their countries and where they're from, but she doesn't remember anything about the island. Lola raised her hand. She hated raising her hand almost as much as she hated Nelson's yelling. Miss, what if you don't remember where you are from? What if you left before you could start remembering? "No problema," Miss Obi said. Are there people around you who do remember? Like my whole neighborhood, Lola said, and they're always talking about the island. Well then, Miss Obie started, maybe. But Lola finished her sentence. I should talk to everyone who does remember. I should draw a picture from their memories. That's a very good plan, Lola, Miss Obie said with a smile. Lola started feeling better about the assignment. But then she saw all the other kids chatting excitedly about what they were going to draw, and it made her feel sad. Everybody was remembering their first home. Even Nelson, who forgot everything. Nelson even forgot his last name once for like an hour. Lola had always wanted to remember the island, but no matter how hard she tried, she never could. It was like a familiar word just at the tip of your tongue, but instead of a word, this was an entire world. Lola closed her eyes and tried to recall, that means remember. She tried to recall anything about the island, but nothing came up. Why do you think Lola is sad here in this picture? What made Lola sad? Do you remember? Right. All of her friends are talking about the places that they're from, but she's having a hard time remembering the island where she was born, where she was from. She kept trying all through the school day. To help her focus, she put her fingers on the sides of her head, like her abuela psychic sometimes did. Abuela, that means grandma in Spanish. And a psychic, well, that's a person who has psychic powers. They are pretty magical. So her abuela psychic rubs the side of her head when she's trying to remember something. So Lola does the same. She's trying to remember her island where she was born. Are you okay? Her cousin Leticia asked as they walked home from school together. I have to draw a picture of the island, Lola explained. But I was just a baby when we left. Prima, you have to help me. I don't remember a lot either, except for the bats. They were as big as blankets, and they used to chase after me at night. Blanket bats! Lola pulled out her notebook and began to sketch. So Lola's with her cousin Leticia, and she's asking Leticia about the island. And what is it that Leticia remembers about the island? Right, she remembers bats as big as blankets. So Lola starts to draw them. This is a beautiful illustration. Look at these pictures. Look at all the colors. Ooh, and I noticed some music symbols. Maybe some people dancing. Who else do you see on this page? Right, I see the mailman. And I see somebody cooking food. Leticia stopped Mrs. Bernard, who always sold them crispy empanadas after school. Mrs. Bernard, what do you remember about the island? Why, the music, of course. The whole country is like the inside of a guira, like the inside of a drum. You mean like our neighborhood, Lola said? The neighborhoods had so much music, it was like a radio with the dial broken off. On the island, there's even more music. There's even more music than air. And everyone is always dancing. Even in their sleep people dance. Sleep dancing, Lola sketched. So she asks Mrs. Bernard, what do you remember about the island? What is it that Mrs. Bernard remembers about the island? Right, the music. People are always listening to music and dancing on the island. So Lola starts to draw people who are dancing, even in their sleep. Leticia led Lola into the barbershop that her brother Jonathan owned. Lola had to do an assignment about the island. She needs to know what you remember most about it. Huepa, said Jonathan, laughing. The agua de coco. How wonderful it tastes when you drink it right from the coconut. Mr. Rodriguez sat up in the chair, and the mangoes that are the size of your head and so sweet. They make you want to cry, Lola said. She loved mangoes. That's it exactly, he said. How much color is there? Said the woman waiting with her son. Colorful cars, colorful houses, flowers everywhere. Even the people are like a rainbow, every shade ever made. Like us here, Lola said. Even more color, the woman said. Agua, mango heads, rainbow people. Lola was trying to keep up. The island sounds so beautiful. Why did we ever leave? Well, it isn't all beautiful, the woman's son said. The heat is on you like 5 bullies. Whew, the heat, it's really hot on the island, he says. The oldest barber muttered, ugh, and other things. Like what? Lola wanted to ask, but the oldest barber had already turned away. Why might people leave the island? What might be the other things that the barber is talking about? Do you have any ideas why people might leave the island? It sounds so beautiful. People are all different colors. The cars are all different colors. There's music and mangoes and dancing. Let's find out. In the lobby of their building, the cousins ran into Mr. Muir, the superintendent. Leticia called out, "Hey, Mr. Muir, can you tell us what you most remember about the island?" "Nobody cares about that old stuff," Mr. Muir grumbled. "Just be glad that you live here." "Oh, don't listen to him," Leticia said. "Keep going and call me later if you need any help, okay?" "I will," Lola said. Mr. Muir seems to be upset that Lola and Leticia asked about the island. I wonder why. When Lola got into the elevator, she put her fingers on her temples and closed her eyes. "Island," she called, like it was a cat. But like a cat, the island did not come. Beautiful picture. Who do you see here? What's happening? At home, Lola found her abuela in the kitchen, trying to finish a puzzle. Abuela, that means grandma in Spanish. Abuela loved puzzles. "Abuela, I'm supposed to draw a picture of the island for school, but I don't remember it." "Why don't I remember it?" "Hija, you were just a baby when you left. But the other kids remember." "Just because you don't remember a place doesn't mean it's not in you." "Will you tell me what you remember most?" Lola asked. So now she's talking to her abuela or her grandma about the island. Of course. What I remember most is the beautiful beaches. Hija, our beaches are poetry. You know when you hear your favorite poem? That's how it is to be on our beaches. Fish jump from the waves into your lap. And at sunset, sometimes the dolphins will come out of the water to bow goodnight. And up north, where I'm from, there are even whales in the surf. Beach poetry, dolphins, surfing whales. Lola sketched as fast as she could. So these are her grandma or her abuela's memories of the island, and Lola is drawing them. Let's show this picture to you. What do you think's happening here? I noticed that the colors on the page are a little bit different than before. It's a little bit darker. Lola's mother stuck her head in from the kitchen. "Hija, What I remember most is the hurricane that hit the island right after you were born. Like the biggest, baddest wolf of all, it huffed, it puffed, and blew thousands of houses into the sky. Where were we? Lola asked, her eyes wide. We were hiding under the beds is where we were, Abuela said. That's right, her mother said. And you know what? You never cried once. You were such a brave little girl. I wish I could remember that, Lola sighed. Well, it happened, her mother said. You might not remember the island, but it remembers you. So there was a big hurricane when Lola was just a baby, and they hid under the bed, Abuela and her mom. And she didn't cry once. She was very brave. You really should talk to Mr. Mir, Abuela suggested. He knows more about the island than almost anybody. We tried asking him, Lola said, but he didn't want to help. Mr. Mir can be a little grouchy sometimes. Let me talk to Mrs. Mir. I bet you we can get him to help. Abuela called downstairs and shouted at Mrs. Mir, who then shouted at Mr. Mir. The old people were always shouting at each other. That's how they talked. Maybe Nelson was an old person in training. Remember Nelson from her class? He's always shouting. She says maybe he's an old person in training. Go on down, Abuela said. Mr. Mir said he would try to help. So Abuela calls Mr. Mir, and Mr. Mir's going to help Lola remember the island. Lola was a little nervous, but that didn't stop her from knocking on the super's door. Mrs. Mir let her in. Look how big you've gotten, Lola. Mr. Mir is in his workshop. Go on in. So there's Mr. Mir. And look, looks like he's looking at a picture of the island. And he's in his workshop. Let's see what he tells Lola. Mr. Mir looked up from the contraption he was fixing. Your grandma says you've been interviewing people about the island. Lola nodded nervously. Yes, sir. It's for a class assignment. What have they told you? She flipped through her sketches. Bat blankets, more music than air, fruit that makes you cry, beach poems, and a hurricane like a wolf. Ah, I see, Mr. Mir said. So no one told you about the monster? Lola's eyes got wide. She shook her head no. Even those who know don't always want to talk about him. Mr. Mir turned toward the old worn-up map he had of the island. Our island has always been a beautiful place. It was when I was your age, and it is today. But even the most beautiful places can attract a monster. A long time ago, long before you were born, that's exactly what happened. A monster fell upon our poor island. For once, Lola's pencil did not move. I wonder why people don't talk about the monster. Do you think Mr. Mir misses the island? Oh, that is very scary. Look at the beautiful island being attacked by the monster. Let's see what Mr. Mir says about this monster. It was the most dreadful monster anyone had ever seen. The whole island was terrified and no one could defeat it. It was just too strong. For 30 years, the monster did as it pleased. It could destroy an entire town with a single word and make a whole family disappear simply by looking at it. Lola's curly hair was uncurling with fear. Did you see the monster, Mr. Mir? Yes, all the time. Were you scared? We were all very scared. I would be scared too. Lola's heart was pounding. So what happened next, Mr. Mir? What should always happen to monsters? Heroes rose up. Strong, smart young women, just like you, Lola. And a few strong, smart young men, too. They got tired of being afraid and fought the monster. What a titanic battle that was. Titanic, that means a big, huge battle. The whole island shook from their struggle. The monster tried all of its evil tricks, but in the end, the heroes found the monster's weakness and banished it forever. So look, people came together to defeat the monster. Wow, heroes. Whoa, Lola whispered. What happened to the heroes? She asked. No one really knows. It was so long ago. Mr. Muir took off his glasses and sighed. Anyway, you should get back upstairs. It's getting close to dinner time. Thank you, Mr. Muir, Lola said. Thank you for all of your help. How did it go? Lola's mother asked. It was really good. Lola looked at the blank page in her hands. I bet you Lola got lots of good ideas for her assignment from Mr. Muir. Lola spent the rest of the night drawing the island. She started out with one page, but she needed more room. So she added another page, and then another, and soon she had a book. She worked through dinner, and she worked in bed, and was just finishing the last touches on the cover when her abuela came in to check in on her. Abuela picked up the drawing of the final battle, and she got really still. Abuela, did you know about the monster? Of course, hija. Why do you think so many of us are here in the north? Lola put her arms around her abuela. You must have been so scared. Sometimes we were, her abuela whispered, but we were also brave. The next day, it snowed. Lola put on her scarf and boots and stuffed her assignment under her coat. Bendición, Mommy. Bendición, Abuela. Bendición, hija, they both called. Good luck. Mr. Muir was pushing garbage cans against the curb. Thank you, Mr. Muir, slayer of monsters. He laughed. Good luck, Lola, daughter of heroes. She's off to school with her assignment. She's going to show her teacher. In class, all the students were buzzing about their pictures. Nelson's mother had baked cupcakes for everyone, so it was like a little party. Miss Obie hung the drawings on the wall. Now our classroom has windows, she said. Anytime you want to look at one another's first homes, all you have to do is look out the windows. What did Lola's friends draw? What do you see? I see pyramids. Look, I see the pyramids. I see a horse. I see mountains and a big canal with a boat going through it. Her friends made very beautiful drawings. Then Mrs. Obie reached Lola's desk. So how did it go, Lola? Were you able to remember anything? I tried really, really hard, but nothing came, and that made me feel really bad. But then I realized I don't have to feel bad, because even if I've never set foot on the island, it doesn't matter. The island is me, Nelson snorted. That's so corny. It is not. Nelson, be nice, Mrs. Obie said. She and the other students gathered around Lola's desk. Nelson made sure he got real close so he could see everything. Lola suddenly got nervous. Go ahead, Lola, show us. Okay, Lola said, taking a deep breath. She opened her book. And out burst the island. Wow. Look at that beautiful, beautiful drawing Lola made of her island. I see the bat blankets. I see the monster and the heroes and the whales and the fish and the music and the dancing and the mangoes and the trees and the bat blankets and the sun. What a gorgeous drawing of the island that Lola made. The End. Friends, thank you so much for reading Islandborn with me. I hope you liked it. I love this story, and now I want to ask you a few questions. So, put on your thinking caps. Make sure they're secured tightly. All right, we're ready to go. My first question is, do you remember, why did the people leave the island? It was so beautiful, the island. They had music and delicious mangoes. Let's look at some of these pictures. Remember the memories of the island. Mrs. Bernard told Lola about the music and the dancing. And Jonathan and Mr. Rodriguez told Lola about the mangoes. It was such a beautiful island filled with tons of color. Why did the people leave? Do you remember? Let's go back in the story and see. Right, there was a bad storm, and then there was a dreadful monster. It took over the town, and that's why the people left the beautiful island, because of the scary monster. Would you move if there was a monster in your town? I think I would. If it wasn't safe, I would have to move. And look, do you remember what happened to the monster at the end? Did the monster win in the end? No. What happened? Right, heroes rose up. Young women and young men, and they defeated the monster. They came together to defeat the monster. This was such a beautiful message. I loved this part of the story. I want to know, what was your favorite memory about the island in this story? Remember, there were tons of beautiful memories. Well, my favorite memory is the memory of the beaches that Lola's abuela tells her about. The dolphins and the fish and the beautiful sunsets. Look how beautiful this beach is. That was my favorite memory from the story. What was yours? I want to know. Friend, one more question I have for you is, what is your favorite thing about your home? Or maybe a place you visited before? Let's think about it. What is my favorite thing about my home? My favorite thing about my home is that we listen to tons of music at my house, and my family and I, we're always dancing and having a little party while we cook. It is so fun to be at home cooking and dancing with my family. What's your favorite part about being home? All right, friends, those are the questions I have for you. Now, I want you to go home and draw a picture of the place where you live now. And I want you to draw 3 good things. 1, 2, 3. 3 good things that you love about your home. And then draw 1 thing that maybe you'd like to be different. Remember, when Lola drew her picture of her island, of her home, she drew all of these beautiful things that she loved about it, but she also drew 1 thing she didn't like, which was the monster. Friends, you can share your pictures with me on Class Dojo. I would love to see your awesome drawings. In the meantime, thank you so much for reading with me. I had such a good time. And don't forget, you are smart, you are strong, and you shine bright. Great job today, friends. I will be back later with more. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Mwah.